John Miller stepped down from the shuttle onto the red soil of Ariana. He felt the slight crunch under his boots. The air smelled faintly of copper and spice. He looked around at his team. Mary Adams, William Scott, Laura Evans, and Kevin Brown stood behind him. Each of them carried a small pack with supplies. Behind them, the shuttle's engines glowed softly in the twilight. John took a deep breath. He remembered the long journey from Earth. It had been 6 months of travel in cryosleep. He saw the shuttle's metal hull shining under violet skies. The strange clouds formed slow waves overhead. He felt a mix of fear and excitement. Mary checked her scanner. She pointed to a line of blue crystals nearby. "The energy readings are stable," she said. Her voice was calm. She walked toward the crystals. She bent down and placed a small probe against a crystal shard. Kevin stood by a transport case. He opened it and took out a small device. He pressed a button. A hologram of Earth floated above the case. The image showed oceans and clouds. William examined the hologram closely. He asked, "Do we have permission to share this?" Laura smiled. She said, "We need to build trust." She tapped the holocase. The image changed to show human children playing by the sea. John nodded. He wanted the Ariadnes to see how humans could share joy. Mary heard a soft sound. It was like a gentle melody. She looked up. Beyond the crystal grove, she saw a figure in a pale blue dress. The figure stood under a tall crystal arch. The arch glowed with soft light. John whispered, "Did you see that?" He pointed toward the figure. William and Laura turned. Kevin raised his hand to shade his eyes. Princess Ziria stepped forward from behind the crystals. She had pale cyan skin and deep violet hair. Her eyes glowed faintly silver. She moved with grace. She wore a simple gown made of woven light fibers. The fibers changed color with her steps. Mary carefully spoke into her translator. "We come in. Peace," she said. The device repeated her words in Ziria's language. The princes listened. Ria tilted her head. She studied the humans with curiosity. Then she spoke. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. The translator repeated, "Welcome to Ariana. I am Princess Ziria." She paused. She looked at John. "Why have you come?" John stepped forward. He bowed slightly. His heart pounded. He spoke into his come. "Tell her I am John Miller. I lead this team. We seek friendship and knowledge." The translator spoke his words. Ria nodded. She turned to her guards, who stood behind her. They were tall and slender. They carried no weapons. They watched the humans silently. John noticed the guards' calm faces. He felt a small wave of relief. He then raised his hand. "Sweetie," he said quietly, almost by accident, as he looked at Ria. Mary gasped. Lavar and William froze. Kevin blinked twice. None of them expected John to use that word. But they all saw Ziria's cheeks flush with color. Her gown shifted to a warmer hue. She smiled shyly. Mary whispered, "Did he just say sweetie?" She shook her head in disbelief. John realized his mistake. He reddened. He cleared his throat. "I meant to ask if you would accept our gift," he said. Ria single quotes, as silver eyes sparkled. She spoke softly. "Yes, darling," she replied. The translator repeated her words. The team felt a sudden lightness. Lavra laughed softly. William smiled. Kevin shook his head with a grin. Mary held out a small crystal case. Inside, earth seeds for trees and flowers floated. She said, "This is a gift from our world." The translator echoed her voice. Ria stepped forward. She accepted the case with both hands. She whispered to the crystals inside. They glowed faintly and opened. A small green sprout emerged. It stretched toward the sky. Mary's eyes widened. She said, "They are alive." She reached out to touch the sprout. Ria said, "On Ariana we have no green leaves." "This is beautiful." She looked at John. "I will share this with my people." She bowed her head slightly. John felt pride. He said, "We hope this is the start of something good." The translator spoke his words. A gentle breeze stirred. The violet clouds drifted. The crystal arch glowed brighter. Princess Ziria invited the humans to follow her. She led them through the crystal garden. The path was lined with tall stones that reflected light. Each stone had carvings of Ariadne's past. Mary ran her fingers across the smooth surface. Lavra examined the carvings. She said, "They look like they tell a story." William nodded. He said, "We should document them." He rose a small HOLO-camera.zy Rhea, paused by a pool of clear water. She motioned for them to sit. John and the others sat on smooth stones. Ziria sat beside them. Mary spoke softly. "Tell us about this place." The translator repeated. "Zy." Rhea looked into the water. She said, "This was the first gathering ground of the Ariatans. It was built 1,000 cycles ago. Our people came here to find peace and wisdom," Kevin asked. "Cycles? How long is a cycle?" The translator asked back. Zy. Rhea said, "One cycle equals about 5 days on Earth." She paused. "We count time in cycles, because our sky changes with the moons." She pointed to the 2 pale moons above. Lavra looked up. She said, "They shine like lanterns." She described them for her report. John turned to Ziria. He said, "On Earth we have 1 moon. It changes shape each month." Ziria listened. Zy. Rhea smiled. She asked, "Does that bring you joy?" The translator echoed. John thought. He said, "It does. We watch it rise and set. It reminds us of home." He felt a soft pang of homesickness. Zy. Rhea placed her hand on John's arm. It felt warm and soft. She said, "Then I will show you our moons tonight. You can see how they glow together." The translator spoke her words. John met her gaze. He noticed the soft light in her eyes. He nodded. "Thank you." He spoke quietly. Mary gently squeezed his shoulder. She smiled at Ziria. Mary said, "We are honored to learn from you." The translator repeated. Zy. Rhea stood. She said, "Come with me. To the crystal arch, the moons will rise soon." She led them up a short hill. The glow from the crystals lit the path. When they reached the arch, the moons hovered just above the crystals. The sky was a deep purple. The moons looked like pale lanterns. John, Mary, William, Lavara, and Kevin watched in silence. Ziria stood beside them. She whispered, "On Earth you have songs for the moon. Would you sing for me?" Lavara nodded. She began a soft melody from Earth. Mary joined her. Soon, John hummed along. Their voices echoed under the 2 moons. Zy. Rhea closed her eyes. She let the music wash over her. When the song ended, she opened her eyes with a gentle smile. She said, "This is the sound of your world. It feels like hope." The translator spoke her words. John looked at Ziria. He said, "We want to share hope." He felt a new warmth in his chest. Zy. Rhea placed a hand on the crystal arch. It glowed brighter. The humans and the princess stood together under the double moons. They laughed softly at a shared joke. The sound of their laughter mixed with the wind. In that moment, a bond formed. Humans and Ariadnes would walk a new path together. The night on Ariana would mark the start of a lasting friendship and perhaps more. The next morning, John Miller woke to pale orange light filtering through the crystalline leaves. He stretched and unstrapped his gear. The air felt cool on his face. He heard soft voices drifting from the garden. Mary Adams and Lavra Evans were speaking quietly with Princess Zy. Rhea. John joined them at a stone bench beside a reflecting pool. The water mirrored the 2 moons, still faint in the dawn sky. He sat beside Lavra, who smiled and offered him a hot drink in a small cup carved from blue crystal. Mary and William were nearby with Ziria. William Scott held the holoprojector. He tapped a button and the projector flickered to life above the bench. A 3-dimensional image of Earth's ocean waves formed in midair. The water shimmered and glowed, moving gently. Princess Ziria's silver eyes widened. She reached out, but her hand passed through the water image. She smiled softly. "This is beautiful," she said, her voice chiming like soft wires. The translator repeated her words. "The water moves like song. On Ariana, we have no sea, only vapor." "Clouds," Lavra explained. "Earth has much water. It covers 70% of the surface. Humans build great machines to travel across it." She tapped the projector, and the image shifted to show a ship cutting through waves. Cy Ria nodded. She said, "Tell me more of these machines." The translator echoed. William described the ships. He spoke of sails, engines, and ports. He showed images of cargo ships and small sailboats. Mary then added, "Humans also swim in the water. It feels like flying." She smiled at the memory of diving in an earth ocean. Cy Ria laughed softly. She said, "Here, we float only in violet fog. We have no bodies made for liquid." She glanced at John. "Can you swim, John Miller?" John thought for a moment. He said, "Yes. In my world, I learned to swim when I was a child. I felt free in the water." He felt a pang of nostalgia. Cy Ria looked at him. "Perhaps one day I will try." She tapped her chin with a slender finger. "I would feel free too." Kevin Brown, who had been quiet, spoke up. "We could teach you," he grinned. "We have a container for water on the shuttle. We could fill it here." He pointed toward the shuttle, parked beyond the crystal trees. Cy Ria single quotes s eyes lit. "Yes, let us do that. But first I want to learn your stories. Tell me of your world and your people." The translator repeated. Lavra looked at Mary. They both nodded. Lavra said, "We will share. But let us begin with simple tales." She gestured to the group. "We each have memories we love," Mary began. She spoke of Earth's forests and tall trees. She described walking between green canopies. She spoke of birds singing melodies at dawn. Ziria listened, her face serene. When Mary finished, Ziria bowed her head. She said, "On Ariana, we have no green. Our world glows with crystals. We walk between light shards. We have no trees. But I can imagine the green." She smiled. Next, William told of Earth's mountains. He described snowy peaks and sharp ridges. He spoke of climbing with friends and feeling the cold wind. Ziria closed her eyes as if picturing the cold. "It must be harsh," she said, "but also strong and beautiful." The translator echoed. William grinned. "Yes, it is hard. But when you reach the top, the view is worth it." He looked at the twin moons reflected in the pool. "We see something similar here, but different." He pointed to the moon's reflections. Cy Ria nodded. "We climb crystal peaks too. It is treacherous. The shards can cut like blades. But our people have learned to walk the mountains with care." She paused. "I will show you one day." Lavar then spoke. She told of human music. She described instruments. Flutes, strings, drums, and voices singing in harmony. She hummed a simple tune. John joined, adding a low hum. Mary tapped her fingers like a drum. Cy Ria watched in wonder. She said, "Music is light for the ears." She asked, "Will you play for?" Lavra smiled. "Of course," she whispered to Mary. They raised small earphones. Mary tapped a button, and soft melody played in the air. The notes drifted like petals. Cy Ria closed her eyes. She let the melody wash over her. When it ended, she opened her eyes and clapped her hands gently. "Thank you," she said. "This is joy." The translator repeated. John then spoke. He told a simple story of childhood games. He described playing tag in a schoolyard, running and laughing with friends. He said he felt free and happy. Cy Ria laughed softly. "I have never run," she said. "We do not run on Ariana. We glide across the ground." She moved her hand in a smooth motion. "But I would like to run." She smiled at John. John single quotes S heart warmed. He said, "We can teach you. I will race you tomorrow." He grinned. Cy Ria laughed. "Yes, sweetie, will you race me?" she teased. The translator repeated. John flushed, remembering his slip of words. He cleared his throat. "I will race you," he said, trying to sound confident. The group laughed. Mary said, "This will be fun." She looked at Lava and William. "And now, let us sing the Earth song I taught you." She smiled. Lavar nodded. They began a simple chant about rivers and skies. Ziria joined, her voice chiming amidst theirs. Kevin tapped the rhythm on the bench's edge. The melody echoed around the crystal garden. Cy Ria single quotes, their faces calm but curious. One of them stepped forward. He held a small crystal flute. He raised it to his lips and played a soft note. It blended with the human song. Mary's eyes widened. She said, "They learn quickly." She turned to Ziria. "This flute has a gentle tone. It suits your voice." The translator repeated. Zy Ria held the flute and offered it to Lavara. Lavar gently took it. She blew a note. The flute sang like a soft chime. The group applauded. Zy Ria said, "We share skills. You teach music, we teach crystal craft." She lifted a crystal shard and carved a small pattern with her finger. William said, "We would be honored." He watched Ziria's hands move. "Your art is precise." He smiled. Zy Ria said, "Tonight I will host a gathering. You will meet my people. You will share more stories and songs." The translator echoed her words. Lavara, Mary, Kevin, and William exchanged excited looks. John felt his chest swell with hope. He said, "We would love to attend." The translator repeated. Zy Ria single quotes. S smile was gentle. "Then prepare. At dusk, you will come to the Crystal Hall. But first, learn our simple game." She held out her hand. John took it. She led him to an open floor of smooth crystal. She pointed to 2 lines etched on the ground, shining in soft light. She said, "We call this race path. Stand behind the lines. When the light shifts, you run." The translator spoke her words. John studied the lines. They glowed faintly. Lavra and Mary stood along one side. Kevin and William stood behind the other. As spectators, Zy Ria stood opposite John. She lowered into a crouch. John copied her. He felt his pulse quicken. "Are you ready?" Ziria asked quietly. John nodded. The crystal arch above them pulsed with light. The glow shifted from blue to pale gold. The light drifted across the path. With a gentle hum, the arch's glow turned bright. Both John and Ziria sprang forward. John's boots skidded on the smooth floor. Ziria moved like water, her limbs flowing. John felt wind on his face. The path blurred. He focused on the line at the other end. Ziria stayed beside him. They ran neck and neck. John felt a burst of joy. He heard Ziria's light laughter. Near the finish, John pushed harder. His legs burned. Ziria's pace did not falter. They crossed at the same moment. Both stumbled, then regained balance. They laughed breathlessly. Lavra and Mary cheered. Kevin hooted and clapped. William recorded the finish on his tablet. Zy Ria smiled at John. She said, "We are equal runners." The translator echoed. John offered his hand. Ziria took it. She squeezed gently. John said, "That was amazing." He looked into her silver eyes. Zy Ria said, "On Ariana, no one has raced a visitor. This is a new memory." The translator repeated. John felt warmth in his chest. He said, "I will remember it always." The translator echoed. They walked back to the garden, side by side. The human team followed, chatting excitedly. Ziria's smile was bright. As the sun dipped low, they returned to the bench by the pool. Ziria said, "Tonight, more will come. You ready to share your stories and songs?" The translator repeated. John nodded. He knew the day had brought laughter and friendship. He felt more confident about the bond forming between their worlds. Tomorrow they would share more and face challenges together as friends. That evening, twilight settled over the crystal hall. The walls glowed with soft violet light. Princess Ziria led the human team inside. John, Mary, Lavara, William, and Kevin followed. Behind them, Ariadnes in simple robes gathered. They held small crystal lamps. John felt the hum of energy. The air vibrated with quiet power. He saw Ariadnes of all ages. Their skin ranged from pale blue to soft lavender. Their eyes shone silver or gold. They bowed respectfully to the princes, then to the humans. Mary whispered to Lavara, "They are so graceful." Lavara nodded, her eyes bright. William raised his holocamera. He captured the scene. Kevin scanned for any signs of trouble. The hall ceiling arched high, formed from woven crystal strands. Each strand pulsed like a heartbeat. Zy Ria motioned for the humans to stand on a raised dais. Behind them, a tall pedestal held a large crystal sphere. Ziria said, "This sphere holds the memory of Ariana. It records our songs, stories, and history. Tonight we add your memories to it. The translator repeated. John stepped forward. He looked at the sphere. It glowed softly. We are honored, he said. HFY Ria smiled. She said, first, share your stories. She nodded to Mary. Mary stepped up. She spoke of Earth's green forests and childhood walks. She described the scent of pine and the feeling of soft earth under her feet. The Ariadnes listened, their eyes fixed on her. When she finished, Ziria raised a crystal flute. She tapped it lightly. A soft tone rang out. The sphere shimmered, and an image of Mary's forest appeared within. Ariadnes gasped at the moving scene. Lavra then spoke. She told of Earth's music and instruments. She described playing a violin under a summer sky. She sang a simple melody. The Ariadnes closed their eyes to listen. When Lavra finished, Ziria tapped the flute again. The sphere glowed and a note drifted within. The melody played softly from the crystal. William spoke next. He described Earth's oceans, ships, and adventures across water. He told of storms and calm seas, of sailors singing on deck. His voice echoed in the hall. Afterward, Ziria raised the flute. The sphere glowed with shifting waves, and the sound of water filled the air. Kevin then spoke. He told of human curiosity of building machines to explore space. He described launching probes, landing rovers, and looking for life beyond Earth. His words held wonder. When Kevin finished, Ziria tapped the flute. The sphere displayed stars, planets, and ships flying between them. A hush settled as the image glowed. John looked at Ziria. She bowed slightly. Your world is vast and rich, she said. Now, share your art. The translator echoed. John took a small crystal case from his pack. Inside was a play he wrote that told of human hope and unity. He placed it on the pedestal. He explained it was a story for performance. Ria nodded. She raised the flute. The sphere pulsed, and a hologram of actors appeared, speaking his lines. The Ariadnes watched in awe. Lavra whispered, they record everything. Mary nodded. William tapped the HOLO-camera. Ria lowered the flute. She said, now we will share a song of Ariana. She stepped back. Several Ariadnes stepped forward, holding crystal instruments, flutes, drums, and stringed shards. They raised their instruments and began. The music was unlike anything the humans heard. It sounded like wind through crystal forests and moonlight on water. Each note shimmered and echoed. John closed his eyes. He felt the sound flow through him. Mary and Lavra listened with rapt attention. When the song ended, the hall fell silent. Then Ariadnes clapped softly, their hands sounding like tapping crystal. Ria smiled. This is our ancient song. It tells of our beginnings. Now you have heard our story. The translator repeated. William stepped forward. He said, we are grateful. Can we learn to play your instruments? Ziria's eyes brightened. Yes, you will. Learn tomorrow. Now enjoy our feast. She motioned to servants who placed simple trays before each guest sweet crystal fruits, soft violet bread, and cool water infused with flower petals. John tasted the bread. It melted softly. He sipped the water, which tasted like gentle mint. Mary tasted the fruit, which felt like sugar and light. Lavra said, this is wonderful. Kevin nodded, chewing thoughtfully. Around them, Ariadnes dined quietly. Ziria sat beside. John, she said, how do you find our world? John looked around. He said, it feels magical, peaceful, full of kindness. He smiled at Ziria, and you are a gracious host. Ziria glanced at him, her cheeks tinged. She said, we learn from each other. She paused. Sweetie, will you dance with me? John's heart raced. He stood and offered his hand. Ziria took it. She led him to the center of the hall. Soft music began. Ariadnes played gentle notes on crystal lyres. John and Ziria began to dance. Their steps were slow, careful. John matched her movements. Mary and Lavra watched from the dais. They smiled and whispered. William recorded the dance. Kevin nodded in approval. John felt the smooth floor under his boots. Ziria's hand was warm. They moved with quiet grace. As they danced, John looked into Ziria's silver eyes. He saw joy and curiosity. He felt a bond he couldn't describe. When the dance ended, the hall applauded. Ziria placed a soft kiss on John's cheek. He flushed, surprised, and the hall sighed in delight. Ziria said, "Thank you." She returned to her seat. John bowed. She then addressed the gathering. "Tonight we have shared our worlds. Soon we will face challenges together. Let us begin with friendship." The translator repeated. Ar Iotans cheered softly. The room glowed with warmth. John returned to his seat. He felt pride in his team and hope for the future. He glanced at Ziria, who smiled back. The feast continued with laughter and quiet conversations. John joined a small group of Ariatans and learned their simple greetings. Mary asked questions about crystal art. Lavar learned a rhythm for the next song. Kevin discussed technology with scholars. William spoke of plans for exchange programs. Ria watched her people and the humans. She felt optimistic. These humans brought laughter, songs, and stories. She believed this friendship would help both worlds. Later, when the guests departed, Ziria led the humans back to their quarters. The night air was cool, and the crystals cast soft shadows. Mary yawned softly. Lavra stretched. William checked his instruments. Kevin packed his scanner. John stopped at the garden edge. He looked at the twin moons, now high in the sky. He felt a quiet joy. Ria stood beside him. She said softly, "Good night, John Miller." The translator echoed. John turned to her. He said, "Good night, Princess Ziria." He paused. "Thank you for tonight." He smiled. Ria bowed her head. Her hair shimmered in moonlight. "Thank you for sharing your world. Tomorrow we will prepare for what comes." She offered her hand. John took it. He felt warmth. He said, "I look forward to it." The translator repeated. As John returned to his quarters, he thought of the song, the dance, and the laughter. He knew the adventure would grow deeper, and the bond between them would face tests. But for now he rested with hope. The morning sun rose over Ariana's crystal peaks. John Miller and his team gathered in the courtyard. Princess Ziria awaited them with 2 guards. Her gown shimmered pale blue. Ria greeted them. "Today we train together," she said through the translator. She gestured to a wide field beyond the courtyard, its ground reflecting light like a mirror. Kevin Brown frowned at the smooth field. "Is this safe?" he asked Lavra. Lavra smiled. "It's firm. The crystals form a hard floor." She tapped the ground. It rang with a clear tone. Mary Adams set up a small container. It held water from Earth. She filled a shallow pool ringed by crystals. She said, "We can teach the princess to swim." Kevin knelt and checked the temperature. It was cool, but safe. William Scott adjusted his holoprojector. He prepared images of protection shields and tactics. He said, "First, we share defense plans. Then music and craft later." Ziria nodded. "We need both skill and strength." She waved her hand. 2 Ariatans carried long rods of crystal. They placed them on the field in lines. John asked, "What game is this?" Ziria smiled. "This is our training for defense. We use crystal rods to deflect energy beams. Step between the lines and practice." She tapped a rod. It glowed softly. Kevin examined a rod. He said, "It resonates when struck. Nice design." He tapped it gently. It rang like a bell. Mary said, "Humans use shields too. This could improve our tech." She looked at William. William nodded. "We will learn the crystal design." He turned to Ziria. "Show us," he asked. Ria selected 2 guards. She spoke to them. They lifted rods and activated them. Beams of light shot across the field. In slow arcs. John sheltered behind a large crystal pillar. He watched. The beams curved and faded. Ziria said, "Step forward and deflect." She pointed to a spare rod on the ground. John picked it up. He felt its cool weight. He squared his stance. The rod glowed bright. A beam shot toward him. He raised the rod, and the beam bent away, scattering into light. John grinned. He felt power in the rod. He called, "Everyone try!" Mary stepped forward. She held the rod with both hands. A beam came fast. She moved in time, deflecting it cleanly. The rod. HUMED. Lava followed. She deflected 2 beams back to back. She laughed. This is fun, Kevin tried. He deflected one, missed another. The beam grazed the rod and fizzled. He shrugged. Almost, Ziria watched proudly. You learn quick. She said. Soon the team formed a circle. Ziria stood in the center. She said, now a challenge, deflect and send back. She glowed the rod. John took a deep breath. The beam shot. He moved his rod, sending the beam back to the guard. The guard caught it. The beam split into sparks. The team cheered. Ziria clapped. She said, you defend well. Our people will learn from you. The translator repeated. William spoke. We also have rhythms and dances for focus. May we teach you? Ziria nodded. Yes. After training, we dance to steady the mind. She walked to the pool where the water lay. Mary guided Ziria to the pool. She held her hand. The water is safe. Step in. Ziria hesitated, then stepped forward. Her feet touched the surface. Ria gasped softly. She moved her foot. The water rippled. She laughed. This feels odd. She took a small swim stroke and floated. Mary encouraged her. Just glide. Move your arms, she demonstrated. Ziria followed, slowly moving her arms, causing ripples. John watched with wonder. Ziria looked happy. Kevin adjusted his scanner to record the technique. Lavra and William sat by the pool's edge. Lavra said, this will help her people travel liquid. She smiled. Ria finished and climbed out. She wrapped herself in a soft towel. She said, thank you, Mary. I feel free. The translator repeated. The team rested by the courtyard's edge. Ziria proposed the dance lesson. We danced to crystal drums. Follow me. She led them to a circular space. Several Ariadnes gathered drums carved from crystal. They tapped rhythms, slow, then fast. Ziria moved in steps that followed the beat. Lava joined. She matched the steps. John and Mary followed. Kevin tried and stumbled. William laughed and tried again. Ria praised them. Your steps are good, she said. This dance brings focus and unity. The translator repeated. As the sun set, the team returned to the garden. Ziria said, tonight I will show you a secret place. She smiled mysteriously. John felt excitement. He said, we will be ready. The translator repeated. They followed Ziria through winding crystal paths. The light dimmed to silver. They reached a hidden glade with a pool that reflected the stars. Ria whispered, this is where we find calm before battles. Feel the peace. She sat by the pool. John sat beside her. He looked at the sky's reflection. He felt calm. Mary, Lavra, William, and Kevin sat around, silent. Ria spoke softly. We will face danger soon, but together we are strong. The translator repeated. John turned to her. I believe that. He said, with our worlds united, we can protect each other. He looked into her silver eyes. Ria smiled and reached for his hand. She said, I trust you, sweetie. The translator echoed. John's single quotes as heart soared. He squeezed her hand. He said, and I trust you. The translator repeated. Together, under the starlight, they shared a quiet moment of hope and strength. The bond between human and alien deepened, guided by friendship and trust. The next dawn brought low amber light across the crystal coast. John Miller and his team assembled by the shoreline. The Ariadnes stood beside them, their pale skins glowing in morning light. Princess Ziria wore a simple jacket over her gown. Ready for battle training. Far on the horizon, dark ships appeared above the waters. They formed a line under the two moons now sinking behind the waves. The invaders had come to claim Ariana's crystals. John felt his heart tighten. He turned to Ziria. They have come, he said softly. Ria nodded. She spoke to her guards. They formed a defensive line. Human soldiers in light armor took positions beside them. William Scott activated the holoprojector. He showed schematics of the enemy fleet, sleek vessels with dock hulls and energy cannons. He pointed to weak points identified by scanning drones. We strike those points, he said. Then we can disable their firepower. Mary Adams loaded small crystal grenades onto her belt. She said, these will disrupt their shields for a few seconds. Use them well. Love Ivans handed blasters to the Ariadnes. She said, aim for the engines. These blasters can pierce dark hulls. Kevin Brown checked comms and scanners for interference. ZY Rhea stepped forward. Humans and Ariatans stand together. We defend our home. She raised her voice so all could hear. John joined her. He said, we will fight side by side. We will not let them take your world. His words echoed across the sands. An order came. The Ariatans activated crystal shields. Human units activated energy barriers. The beach glowed with defensive lights. Then, with a rumble, the enemy fleet unleashed energy beams. The beams cut through the morning mist, striking shields. Sparks flew and shields flickered. Mary threw a crystal grenade into the surf. It landed near the first ship's shadow. The hull's shield shimmered and faded. Human blasters opened. Fire. John led a small squad along the shoreline. He sprinted toward a low gun turret on the beach installed by Ariatans. He climbed beside it and took aim at the ships. Selena, an Ariatan guard, stood beside him. She handed him crystal rods. He used them to deflect enemy shot from the ships trying to target the turret. Selena said, "Thank you, soldier. You are brave." John nodded without looking away from the ships. Further down the coast, Lavar and Kevin fired at the ship's engines. Laura's shots struck the outer hull. Sparks flew. Kevin targeted a power conduit, and the engine sparked out. William and Mary moved toward a broken turret. They repaired it quickly and turned it against a large warship. The turret's beam hit the ship's weak point. The hull buckled. On the ship above, sirens sounded. The enemy commander ordered a retreat. The vessel glowed red, then slowed and finally drifted away. Other ships, seeing their flagship wounded, turned and fled toward the nebula boundary. On the beach, cheers rose. Humans and Ariatans embraced. Ziria stood on a small rock, pale hair. Blowing in the wind, she raised her arms. "We have won!" she cried. "We have defended Ariana together." The translator echoed her voice. John ran to the water's edge. He kicked water toward the retreating ships and laughed. Ziria smiled and laughed beside him. Mary and Lava joined them, laughing and cheering. Kevin and William embraced each other in celebration. Selena approached John. She handed him a small crystal emblem of Ariana. "For bravery," she said. John accepted it. He looked at Ziria, whose eyes glowed softly. He gently placed the emblem in Ziria's hand. She gasped and embraced him. Later, they gathered at the crystal garden. The sun set behind them in vibrant colors. Lava raised a small holoprojector and played the celebration music from the crystal hall. Cy Rhea stood beside John. She said, "Tonight we feast by the coast, all are welcome." The translator repeated. The humans and Ariatans sat around long tables carved from crystal. Trays of glowing fruits, soft breads, and warm drinks appeared. John tasted the food, and Ziria watched him. She said, "I am proud of you, sweetie." The translator echoed. John looked at her, his heart warmed. He said, "We did this together." He raised his cup. "To friendship and victory." Clinks of cups rang out, the group cheered. Music drifted from small crystal speakers. Mary sang softly, and Lava joined. Cy Rhea stood and raised her hands. She spoke of unity. "Our worlds have stood together in battle. Let us stand together in peace." She paused. "And let laughter fill our days." John held Ziria's hand. He said, "We are one now." The translator repeated. As night fell, fireworks of crystal light soared above the beach. Humans and Ariatans watched. In wonder, Ziria leaned into John. Lavra whispered to Mary, "They make a good team." Mary nodded. William and Kevin set up a small holo camera to record the display. John and Ziria strolled along the shore. The twin moons cast silver paths on the water. Cy Rhea said softly, "Tonight I learned courage from humans. Tomorrow I will teach my people your songs and dances." She smiled. John smiled back. "And I will tell Earth of your beauty and strength." He kissed her hand gently. Under the moons and crystal stars, they walked, laughter echoing behind them. The bond of two worlds was sealed in victory and joy, and the future glowed bright. The dawn on Ariana was soft and quiet. The sky glowed pale pink. John Miller opened his eyes in his small quarters. He felt rested after the celebration. He remembered the laughter and the music on the coast. He dressed and went outside. The crystal garden was calm. Dew formed on the pale blue leaves. Princess Ziria stood by the reflecting pool, watching the twin moons faint in the morning sky. John walked to her. She turned and smiled. "Good morning, sweetie," she said softly. The translator repeated. John bowed his head. "Good morning, Princess Ziria," he replied. "How do you feel?" Ziria looked at the pool. "I feel hopeful," she said. "Our people and yours are united now. Today we make our promise official." The translator echoed. John nodded. "What is the promise?" he asked. HFY Ria smiled and held out a crystal pendant. "This is the covenant of unity. We each place a memory inside. Then we wear it as a sign of our bond?" The translator repeated. John took the pendant. It glowed with soft light. He placed a small hollow chip inside that held the memory of the battle and the songs. The crystal shined and closed around it. Ria took the pendant back. She touched it, then placed a memory of the dance in the crystal. It glowed brighter. She gave it to John. John hung it around his neck. "Thank you," he said. "I will treasure this." The translator echoed. Ria then held out another pendant. This one was shaped like a small moon. She placed a memory of the garden under the twin moons inside. She gave it to Laura when she arrived. Mary and Kevin received pendants too, each with memories of laughter and music. William got one showing the hollow images of Earth's ocean. After the pendants, Ziria led them to the central plaza. A large crystal arch stood there. Its stones formed a circle on the ground. She said, "We will plant trees here, using the seeds you gave. Let this be a sign of new life." The translator repeated. John and Mary carried the earth seeds. Lavra and Kevin helped open the crystal case. Tiny green sprouts emerged, glowing softly. Ziria knelt and dug a small hole in the crystal soil. It accepted the seed easily. John placed a seed in the ground. Mary and Lavra placed theirs. Kevin and William did the same. Ziria poured water from a crystal cup onto the seeds. The sprouts glowed brighter as they settled. William said, "This is the first green on Ariana." He smiled. Ria nodded. "It will grow slowly, but it will remind us of our friendship." The group stood around the circle. Ziria raised her hands. "With this promise, our worlds stand together. Peace and laughter will guide us." She spoke clearly. The humans and Ariatans repeated after her. Their voices echoed in harmony. Then an Ariatan bard stepped forward. She held a crystal harp. She played a melody that rose in gentle waves. The humans listened, touched by the new song celebrating unity. John turned to Ziria. He said, "This is beautiful. I will share it on earth." He placed his hand over his heart. Ria smiled. "And I will teach my people to sing your songs?" The translator repeated. As the song ended, a small shuttle arrived from the edge of the garden. It lowered a ramp. Inside stood Captain Davis with his crew. They came to witness the covenant. Captain Davis stepped forward. He bowed to Ziria. "On behalf of Earth Command, I congratulate you." He handed Ziria a small flag of Earth woven into a crystal frame. Ria accepted it gently. She displayed it beside the Ariatan banner. Both flags fluttered in a soft breeze. John felt pride. He nodded to Captain Davis. "Thank you for coming," he said. Captain Davis smiled. "We would not miss this," he said. "The alliance of our worlds will be a great story." The translator repeated. Mary approached Ziria. She said, "Thank you for your kindness." Ziria placed a hand on Mary's shoulder. Lavra and Kevin spoke with Ariatan scholars about sharing music and technology. They made plans to build a small music hall combining crystal and human design. William walked with Ziria to the reflecting pool. He said, "I have one more gift." He pulled a holocamera from his pack. He recorded Ziria and John placing the pendants and seeds. "This will show both our worlds the meaning of friendship," he said. Ria nodded. "Yes, let them see our hearts." The translator repeated. John and Ziria stood by the pool hand in hand. The twin moons rose behind them. They looked into each other's eyes. John said, "I came here as an explorer. Now I leave as your friend. He smiled. Zy Rhea replied, I welcomed you as a guest. Now I see you as family. She smiled back. John gently kissed her forehead. Until we meet again, he whispered. Zy Rhea pressed her hand to his chest. Soon, she replied. The shuttle's engines hummed. It was time for the humans to depart. The crew stood ready. John hugged each team member and Zeria's guards. He thanked them for their help and friendship. Zy Rhea stood by the shuttle ramp. She handed John a small crystal flower. He tucked it into his uniform. He stepped onto the ramp. He looked back. Zeria stood under the crystal arch, waving. The shuttle lifted and rose into the violet sky. John watched from the window as Ariana became smaller. He saw the garden, the seed circle, and the crystal city shining below. Mary sat beside him. She held his hand. Lavra, Kevin, and William settled in their seats. Captain Davis approached. Well done, team, he said. Earth will welcome you home. He smiled. John leaned against the window. He whispered, we made history. He closed his eyes with a peaceful smile. On the shuttle's engines, they laughed softly as memories of Ariana filled their minds. They looked forward to sharing their story with Earth and to the day they would return. As the shuttle sped toward home, the crystal pendant around John's neck glowed with light. It held memories of friendship, laughter, and hope, the start of a new era between two worlds.